Hello out there, folks. So Anthony, I'm gonna turn it over to you to go ahead and introduce, take care of a couple housekeeping things, and then we will get going from there. So.
Okie dokie. Hey, everybody out there in Facebook, YouTube, Slack, alumni channel, wherever the hell else we're live streaming land. This is Lunch and Learn. We are here with the level 2 students, soon to be graduates, who will become master certified life coaches and master certified professional coaches. And we are doing the Lunch and Learn here to answer all business, marketing, coaching, or just life questions. I don't know. You can ask whatever questions you want. Me and Brooke will do our best to answer. But it's not just me and Brooke, though. If anybody watching this, participating with us in class as well, has feedback or wants to chime in with their own experience or answers, feel free to. This is like an open sort of discussion. Me and Brooke are not the end-all be-all of coaching and marketing knowledge, so feel free to put in your input as well. Quick introduction. My name is Anthony Lopez. I am the project director with Certified Life Coach. I've had a good amount of experience in the marketing business as well that me and Brooke used to run together. As well, I specialize in copy editing and writing. Brooke, can you do it? Oh, all right, I'll just introduce her myself since she's on mute.
I can introduce myself. We're fine. I'm of course, multitasking. So, hi, I'm Brooke. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer here at CLCI, and I am also used to run cunning marketing with Anthony as well. And I have been working in the marketing and entertainment and just the corporate industry for 20 years now. And so if you guys have any questions this space, I have been working with coaches now with business and marketing for, it would be several years. So we have a lot of answers as best we can. Also though, as you guys know and have learned, you guys are the experts of your own lives and your own businesses as well. So in many ways, we will also coach you through this process too. So everybody who has their cameras off, if you guys want to turn them on and off and come and go, feel free. And like Anthony said as well, if you guys have any input, please just unmute and share. And if you have any questions, unmute and share. The more participation, the better. And those of you out there watching in social media land, if you want to comment, I am monitoring them to the best of my ability. Part of the housekeeping I was doing. So
the Zoom chat.
Yes, and the Zoom chat as well. And also anybody who had their cameras turned off by me, just put a message in the chat if you need them to come back on. And why don't we begin with Catherine or Bridget?
I have a thought. I'm going to throw this out there into the space. So, and I love that you're from a marketing background, both of you. And I've actually watched a little bit of your videos on your Facebook page before. Actually just stumbled across it last week, so I have a lot of watching to do. So I come from an insurance background, 22 years as an insurance agent. In 2005, I stumbled across internet leads. So there were multiple companies and only like a few of them were like really stood out. They're really big and you could buy internet leads for $1, $2, $3, $4, $5, $10 each. And back then in 2005, all of them were real. Like you called the person, the information was real. People actually gave us their social security numbers back then on the internet. It was so crazy. But anyways, fast forward to now, retired Allstate agent, but now in the coaching space, I cannot find a lead company out there. Now there are a couple companies out there that do pay per lead and stuff like that, but they're just, so it just seems like brilliant to me to have some sort of lead generation company when you can pool together money and market and then generate this awareness, what coaching is, number one, because I feel I'm on the West Coast and I might be wrong, but I feel like people on the West Coast don't know what coaching is. So I feel like there needs to be one piece, education on this side of the country, but also a company that's established, a marketing company where I'm not spending thousands and thousands of dollars on a website that will land on page 300 in a search, where we pool our money together and we get leads.
In a perfect world, that would exist. Yes. And then there are companies that have tried and done, and they're more generic. So like Thumbtack and Bark and things like that, where they kind of are in that space. But, and I do know we have a coach that actually is a graduate of ours that is like the #1 relationship coach on Thumbtack. And that's how he has made his living and has made it work for him. So for me, I've worked in that space with clients and even with my business, and it doesn't work for me. So I did not like that at all. There are also, so other companies have emerged in the self-help space or the mental health space. Even having something like Psychology Today would be lovely, right? And there, again, people are creating these things, but just like coaching is somewhat new and people don't know about it, there's a lot of learning and growth and these kind of things going on and just sort of developing. You're not alone in that feeling of people don't know what coaching is. Like, I have worked here since 2017, and the entire time have been, how do I tell people what coaching is? What is coaching? Anthony started here, 2 years ago, and the same question. How do we tell people what coaching is? Because nobody knows.
We're both on the West Coast as well. We're Southern California. And it feels like no one knows a lot about coaching here. Or what they do know is vastly different than what it actually
is. Yeah.
Which is good and bad. There's good to it and there's bad to it, because you get to, I guess, since it's not well known, you get to sort of set the standard of, ICF standards and, being part of the Certified Life Coach Institute. You can set a good impression and make yourself stand out very easily. The bad news is people don't automatically know what it is, or they don't have that trust of what a life coach is right off the bat. It's still kind of new to them. And I've done my research as well as to sites that sort of help generate leads, or I guess memberships that like coaches can join into. And everything seems kind of newish. There's not one website that's out there that's like, this is the one. Everything seems newish, and it does have that feeling of like you're kind of, testing your luck out there, and it doesn't feel too good. So I'm kind of hesitant to throw out recommendations because, they might not, work.
What I will tell you is when you graduated level 1, we did give you a list of places you can list yourself, like Newme, and even just creating a Google My Business will serve you a great, even without a website. You can do that. You can list your business without a website. And it's a listing yourself in places. It goes a long way. It truly does. But that's one of the things, and why we delve into that so much in level 1 and give you all of that information at the back of the book, is because that is one of the hardest things of being in this business, is generating those leads, unless you already have a warm market and you can tap into it. And that's, everybody does to some degree. And that's really a lot of what we do when we're in these things, is talking to people and figuring out, okay, well, this is where you can start. That's where you tap into right there. Because we all have, I think, more ready and willing people than we realize we do. And it's just a matter, again, of educating them and asking. But is there I wish there was that kind of easy peasy where we can just do that. There's the other flip side of this too, is so have you heard of BetterUp? So BetterUp is taking coaching, but the thing that's doing is it's driving what coaches make down an exponential amount. So they'll get you clients, you can work with them, but you're not going to get paid at all what you would expect as a coach. And why is that? Because you're going through their system, their software, where they are pulling the leads for you, feeding them to you, but they're paying you at their rates, and you're not getting to choose your own rate. So that's a whole other thing. They're also doing computer coaching in there too, where they have actually the AI coaching going on in BetterUp as well. So it's interesting. So we're in a space, and it's something we've been saying, where there's a lot of change going on in life coaching. And it's felt for a little while now that at some point what's going to happen, and I think it's starting to happen, especially with ICF's changes, is the bubble's going to pop and everything's going to start to sort itself out. Also, I'd be very careful though, if you haven't already started being inundated in social media with people who are going to help you get a 6-figure business, or make $10,000 this month, or have 50 clients, just be very cautious with those folks, and realize that there really is no one size fits all solution, even though they're going to try to tell you there is. And a lot of times it's them making sure they're having a 6-figure year and not you. So just be very careful in that space. It'll burn you out sometimes very quickly. But yes, I would love for that to happen. And I get a little upset with Psychology Today, because they used to allow us to list as coaches on it, but they've changed their policy, and you have to have a degree in mental health of some kind. And like we were talking psych, or we're talking therapist, or to also list yourself as a life coach. So they do have life coaches listed on there, but those life coaches have another degree in mental health, and that's how they do that. Yeah. So
I know there's other people in here, but I did have a follow-up question. So I don't know if somebody else wants to go first, or.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Bridget, do you have a question? I want to just tell you, you have the most beautiful smile. It's just absolutely beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I was really going to ask something similar to what Catherine had asked, and you did answer it, because I was interested in the Psychology Today and other different platforms that would allow you to post your business there. So you did answer that question. And then another thing is, I have always been pretty good with the business plan in other areas. But this was the first time that I created a business plan for myself, and I struggled in the marketing part. And I didn't know, in your experience, has the marketing for you mainly just been the digital, and is it digital in a sense of you doing a lot of live stuff, or are you just making these posts, or just telling people to click here, or like, and what should a healthy marketing budget look like digitally in the beginning stages?
That's a scary question, because it really depends on so many things. And also who you're working with. Our company was very expensive, and so I would probably have given you a lot more higher, but there are always ways to do it. The one thing I do say is, the more money you spend, the less time you're going to have to, and energy you're going to have to put into things if you're doing things right. And so typically it's that inverse ratio, where the less money you spend, the more time and energy you're going to have to put into your marketing. If you don't have a website, I would say set aside a minimum of $2,000 for a website, and that's a minimum. As far as if you're doing pay-per-click marketing, if you're having a social media manager, every one of those things costs. And I have never met a marketer that can do it all themselves. There was no way. I had several clients, I had to have a team, because just doing social media for one company can take up your entire life if you're doing it right. So mind you though, what I will tell you is the internet and digital marketing is not at all always the best place to start. Several of my clients, and a lot of the people who do the 30-minute sessions with me, a lot of time what we're doing is we're whittling down to, where's your ideal client? Where can we find them? And what will they respond to best? And where will you be able to get into their attention span, their bubble, break through the noise, essentially. And to be truthful, we respond best in person. We, as human beings, when we make that connection, at least, a video at a minimum, through conference calls or things like that, we connect so much better with people. That trust is there, because marketing is ultimately about trust. It's building trust. It's saying, I want you to trust me enough to pay me to help you with whatever it is that you need help with. And for us to do that, that's our hard-earned money. We have to make sure that we really trust you. So if you know somebody, if you have a warm market, a group of people you've worked with that already know who you are, that is where I would tap into first. For example, in that space, we've had people, mothers who their ideal client was a mom who is struggling with empty nest. Well, she's connected with a whole bunch of other women that are just like her, and they are also connected to a whole bunch of women. And so then it's about, okay, well, how do we get into that space, and how do you talk to those people? And you're going to be much more successful when you're that close to home. The internet is huge, and so you have to have a really strong presence and process, and even that needs to be targeted in social media and things like that, because it is about breaking through the noise, and there's a lot of noise out there. So really whittle down who your ideal client is, and then figure out, how can I get their attention, and only put your energy there. You don't have to put your energy everywhere else, because everywhere else isn't going to get you any money. It's not going to get you any clients. So focus on the ones that are going to pay you. Yeah.
And also incremental growth, because people want to be good at everything and have the whole package deal. Making sure you're really solid in one aspect. If it's like, even if like you decide to go on social media, like try to identify where your clients are on the one social media site, not all of them. Just if they're more on Instagram, be the best and the master of Instagram, and then start to branch out from there once you've got the concepts down on how to market to these people on social media.
Also, big thing in that space, make sure that you're asking them to pay you for something. I know that sounds silly, but we've had plenty of people come through who have 500,000 million followers, and then they go into this space where they're like, well, I've been pardon me, giving it up for free, and that's how I got this following, but now I'm asking for people to pay me for something and nobody's paying. And I'm like, well, that's because your following is made up of people who have never had to pay you. And so you're going to have to realize what you have to offer something, and start to whittle down to who that is that's going to actually reach in their pocket and hand you money, and then really tailor your marketing to them so that it's worthwhile and you're getting a return. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. I see Marie and Michelle. Do you guys have any questions? Michelle? She's like, no. She looked terrified. Marie? Michelle? No questions whatsoever? Lewis. Hi, Lewis. We can't hear you.
Sorry, I've been in the background for a minute,
Catherine. Catherine, hand, I see you. Yeah. Your follow-up.
Yes. So to my follow-up. So when I had stated for us West Coasters, what coaching is, what if, just brainstorming here, just spitball with me if you would, what would be an idea or a path to go on TikTok to kind of explain what TikTok or what coaching is? How could we make it fun? How could we stand out? How could we, let's just spitball this.
That's so interesting.
It's so funny because we're just starting our TikTok channel. We literally just did our
Can you share it?
Yeah, absolutely. We just posted our first 3 videos. We're trying right now. We're just doing intros, meet the team, and then we're just gonna have fun, because we have Instagram and we have Facebook, and so the entire platform for us on TikTok is just to have fun with it, for us to have a good time. So right now, and it's gone as far as we have our friend, one of our employees, Jen, has a tiger mascot costume, and there's I'm like, we can stitch it with there's these other positive dance videos and I'm like, I'm building Muppets. I don't know. We're gonna have life coach Muppets as far as I'm concerned. But it's sort of a space for us to let loose, is how we're treating TikTok. Because in the other spaces we're very sort of, this is professional, this is buttoned up. And so I think in that space we can sort of loosen up our ties and have fun. And we have done some research in the TikTok space for what life coaches are doing and what and it's really interesting and simple stuff. But and some of it not coaching at all. But there's one guy.
It's so simple and just so
simple.
It infuriates me sometimes, where it's just 5 tips on how to do this well, and it's just a guy not talking and he's just pointing.
That's the biggest guy. That's the biggest life. And he's just
Boom, million views right there. Hundreds of comments.
How's that possible? And then there's another, but there are some really awesome TikTok accounts. There's a woman on there, and she just looks at the camera and she's just talking you through your day, and she's like, you are fine, you are okay, and but I watch it because she's charismatic in the way. I'm like, yeah, I am, I believe you. But again,
on the flip side of TikTok, though, we talked about this. They are very used to not paying for anything.
Well, video wise, but also TikTok is notorious for accident or for people buying TikToks. Item 53 TikTok has made me buy. But one thing to consider in that space is what the price tag is. The price tag on those things are not thousands and thousands of dollars. The price tag is typically probably under $100. And so that's the kind of offer you'll generate in TikTok, is something in that under $100 offer. And hopefully it's evergreen. Hopefully it's, download this worksheet or this catalog of things that will help you. That's the key in social, no matter what, is who is your ideal client and how can you enrich their day and help them. So they're hiring you as a coach to do a job, and that's to help them do a job. So they want to get something done in their life. They want to find fulfillment. They want to finally do this so they can be in a place in their life. And that is what they are saying. I need help to get here. And that's why I'm hiring a coach. Those things are very specific. So you can build content around helping them. And that's building trust with them. Each
step of the way. Mm-hmm. So I'm a happiness coach. And what's interesting about it is I did a photo shoot last year, randomly had this crazy outfit, vintage luggage with, scarves hanging out of it. And I took a piece of cardboard and I put Road to Happiness, just wrote it on there. And that just kind of gave me the idea of being a happiness coach. And crazy enough, I've actually created clients because of that, because when I changed my tagline or my nickname, people are like, what does that mean? And I'm like, well, define happiness. What's happiness for you? And they define it or try to. And I'm like, I help you achieve that.
And that's awesome. And that's
what I want to convey in TikTok, like create funky outfits.
I love it. See,
fun about it.
And what will happen is, because of that, and you've got your style and your brand, you're going to draw people to you that are similar. When I did cunning marketing, you could look at my clientele or our clientele, and they were all very similar women in the sense that we did have a male client too, but mostly women, and they're similar, like women in business who were kind of alternative and wanted, they were excited about getting their business marketed, but they all had this sort of like funky thinking outside of the box vibe to them. And that's because they were drawn to our business. And so you're going to your ideal client will start to reveal itself to you as you go in, but we always want you to go into it with something in mind and an intention there. But that's, again, as I was saying, perfect. Build your TikTok around how you can entertain and build into that happiness coach space, and videos around that, and offerings that are helping people find their happiness or define their happiness. Absolutely. I would probably whittle you down even further, but that's because that's my tendency, is to just whittle niches down. TikTok works though for marketing. It does. They're saying this year it's going to become the biggest marketing social media platform out there, and it's going to go past Facebook and go past Instagram is what they're projecting. So it's a great space to be in. And I think that it's know who your ideal client is. Are they on TikTok? We just got Lisa on TikTok, and we had a woman here who I think she was in her 50s, and she was using TikTok. She loved it. It was whatever. So it's a ton of ages on it too. So I love it. It's fun. I spend too much time on it now.
Lots of case studies. See, I have to be careful on my personal TikTok because my TikTok is like weird humor, and I'm trying to not have it life coaching, but I do research on other life coaches to see how is it they market themselves, how are the links set up, and you're trying to understand this, and eventually you're going to be seeing other life coaches pop up. So as you go through TikTok, take note of who is successful, who has a lot of followers, see what is they're doing and how simple it can be sometimes. Doesn't need to be a lot of crazy stuff. And there is stuff in the back end if you want to dive deeper and promote your posts or target it to a specific audience. You are allowed to identify, like, what is the age group? Is it women? Is it these people who are
bringing those out, or do you want me to? Oh, I do that.
I'm hearing something. But you can also like target like what the person's interests are as well on TikTok. So you can get very specific in who these posts are targeted to.
That's true of all. Anytime that you're going into the space of any business account in social media, and then especially when you get to pay-per-click, that you can always define an audience, and you should. You absolutely should. A great example I can give in this space is I had somebody do consultation with me, and she was doing Google Ads and did not understand why it is that she was only getting men when she wanted women, but she was only getting men, and the men were booking free sessions with her. And it was not at all, she's like, it's creeping me out at this point. And so we went in and we looked at her offering. Okay, well, what are you offering? Are you asking, you're offering it for free, which is not necessarily a good thing because you're going to get a whole bunch of free traffic. So put a price tag on that and then really define that audience, and don't be afraid to exclude. So there's the include option, but use the exclude option too. Exclude this person if they're not your client. It's okay to do that because you're going to get spillover. But as one of the things I always say is, if your client's 1 in a million, there's over 7,000 of them in the world. So you'll be able to, that's a lot of people. I don't know any life coaches that have 7,000 clients. So anybody, Marty, by the way, I just saw you pop on. Hi, hello. You can't get away with me at least pointing out that you're on the screen now.
Yeah, no, this has been great information to listen to. I think it's very premature for where I'm at in this process. And I'm sorry I didn't join from the beginning. My son was leaving to get on an airplane. I had to get my hugs, and he gave me flowers and a card for Mother's Day. But this is all really good, useful information, and with everybody else sharing some of the ideas that they have, it's been really helpful for me. So thank you for letting me play voyeur here. Thank you.
Absolutely, anytime. And just say I've completely been ignoring. Natasha Stevens says that Mike James, one of our coaches here, he is a great TikTok, and he does. He's a fantastic TikTok. So you should check him out. Check ours out too. We'll do links.
I put the link in the Zoom chat as well.
We did have a question from Facts Delight from YouTube. Growing in life matters more than growing in business. That's what I believe. What's your take? I don't think that they're mutually exclusive.
What is growing in life like? What is life except like it's a constitution of different parts, which include either making a living or somehow generating income to live. So if business is what you choose to be a part of your life, then growing your business is growing your life.
Well, I would hazard a guess that most of the people in this class are making changes in their lives so that they can do something they love, that they can create a business or coach so that they can, in most cases, in my experience, make a shift into this space so that they can start doing something they really want to do with their lives. At least that's what I have noticed as a universal theme in most of our clientele, apart from if we're getting corporate folks through. And so that's one and the same. A lot of people in here are making that shift so that they can grow in life and be happy and figure out how to do that. And so I don't think that they're mutually exclusive at all. And to think that every part of us isn't connected. I hate the saying business and personal are separate. That's not possible because business success affects personal affects business. That's just we can't compartmentalize to that degree. So I see Marie has a hand up. Hello. And thank you to those commenting. And hi, Natasha.
I have a question. Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really social media shy, and I have some biases against it. So it really limits me in marketing. And I'm not a fan of marketing, but probably more because it's an unknown. Like I have a business that is really just word of mouth. And what would you recommend to someone who is so like overwhelmed by it all and not knowing where to really start, gets overwhelmed with each platform, being told to do this, being told to do that, and then nothing ends up happening because you're like,
I would say, how is your word of mouth business doing?
it's doing great. It's fine.
Do you need social media for that word of mouth business?
No.
Then don't stress about it. Honestly, that's
My secondary question would be, where are the clients?
Where my clients are not probably on social media, to be honest with you.
don't be there. You don't need to be there.
If your clients are not in the building, why go looking in that building then?
Right. Which I understand all that. It's just now to add this portion onto my current business, like generating that new clientele for that section of it. I guess it could be through the clientele I already have, but yeah, I get overwhelmed by the marketing. I like rather delegate.
You're not alone. You're not.
Yeah.
One of the reasons in the level 1 book, if you flip to the marketing section, you see the front. There's like, it's just a lot on there, and we even put like a flying pig in there too, which is fun because it just is like find the flying pig. But we did that overwhelming image because we are aware that it's all very overwhelming and very quick, and especially for folks that are entering in this with. There are some that come into this space going, okay, I know the business part, I know the marketing part, that's there. But a lot of folks in this space are really good at life coaching, really good at helping people, but they get very overwhelmed when it comes to the marketing and business elements. And that's, again, it's an unknown. It's a big unknown. Best thing you can do in that space, and the thing I would always recommend returning to, is figure out who that ideal client is, figure out where they are. And if that's not on social media, then don't spend time there, and be there for that one client, whoever that ideal client is. And it makes everything so much simpler. When you are targeting one person, you know where they're at. When I do my consultation, sometimes I'll whittle it down to, where do they eat lunch? Who do they listen to? At 5 a.m., where are they? At 5 p.m., where are they? And we would narrow it down to that level so that then we can go, okay, wait. This is where you can find that opening. This is where to tap into that opening with them. And a lot of times that's not on social media. A lot of times that is getting into their world in a different manner. And so it's okay to do that. It really is.
Story with this, Brooke, like a few months ago, I was coaching a client, and she had the same trepidations and fears about social media, and we were talking about, okay, I was just asking her, who's your ideal client, just telling me about it. As we're whittling it down, we're going through the exercise. She's essentially telling me her ideal client is the people she works with in like her hairstyle business, who she talks to literally every single day, but she's trying to find them on social media and is afraid of marketing. And I'm just asking her, like, so you know these people in real life? She's like, yes. And what you're talking to me about this client, you are pulling examples of people you know and are talking to. Yes. I just held silence for a minute, held silence a little longer, and she's like, and then had her aha moment. And it's, people or finding the word of mouth is easier than people think it is. Now, you're not casting your net out to the whole world, but if you've got a warm market and there's a lot of people who fit into your niche, you will be able to find them in your community as well.
best way to think of marketing is think of it as trust. So who do we trust on social media? Not many people, right? There's not a lot. Like there are a select few that maybe have been consistent enough or have gotten our feed enough that we enjoy enough that, okay, I trust this space. But somebody that actually knows you, that actually has met you, or that is referred to you by somebody who is going to have exponentially more trust. So social media, I always say, is like out here. If we're funneling people, that is way up here. It's way up here in the funnel. And then we're starting to click it down. That's not always true. There are people who absolutely make social media their one and only. This is how I get my clients. But those people are being very active in social. They're private messaging, they're direct messaging, they're leaving comments. There is a conversation that's going on a lot of times that you're not seeing. And that's a big thing with social, is be social. If you're going to do it, be social and be in it and really be a part of it. We had to have okay, we're moving into TikTok. Do we have enough people, time, and energy to move into this space before we do? Because we are in a lot of places, but we also have a staff of 13, which allows us to do that. So there's a big difference there. And so when it's just you and it's one person, start in one place and start where that client is and where you can get into their day, their world. Again, another example, there was a woman, she was a personal trainer, worked at a gym, and clientele were similar. They were like, it was going to be, I'm like, well, why don't you just put your card? There's got to be a bulletin board. There's got to be a card. There's got to be a place, a way for you to be able to sort of just put this information out there that you're even doing it. And that's kind of a lot of times what we find with life coaches in this space, especially if they're coming from a new business, they have a business or they have a profession and they're moving into this space new, is they're scared to say, this is what I'm doing now, and actually put that ask out there and say, hire me as your coach. And a lot of times it's that simple, just making the ask, and saying, I would like to be your life coach. I am life coaching. I'm offering it for this. And it is often that simple to just say that you are doing it now and say it to the right people. And so many life coaches are scared to do that, which is, don't do it. Just do it. Trust me. But again, marketing is a lot like life coaching in that space, at least when we are doing our consultations and things. It's just getting folks to realize that they already have the answers. They already have the people. You just have to get in there and ask and announce what you're doing. So what's your existing business, Marie? I'm curious if you want to share.
I'm a physical therapist who does holistic integrative therapy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just me one-on-one with table, very manual, craniosacral, myofascial release, Reiki, master type, and people with persistent pain, emotional pain, a lot of women with abdominal pain because of anxiety and whatever else stresses are going on in their lives.
I'm certain that those women are, so you're like, they would easily dovetail into this space. And if not them, at least people they know as well.
Yeah, it's just adding this, and some people know here that it's just adding this aspect of life coaching as COVID happened and I'm needing to shut my doors because it was a very manual treatment session, that I can also help do some of what happens with tissue releasing and emotional releases is also what I coach you through. I can do that virtually too. So that's where I said, I'm just going to do this. I've been told to do it many times over. And so that's why I am exploring it. So just connecting it into what I currently do now and just making an addition. Well, you can see me for this too. You don't have to meet me at the office.
And no need for social that way.
Yeah.
It's for me, social media on a personal level, I don't social very much. So it's always been a tool for me, and that's how I viewed it. And I think that if I was more personal on my social, maybe I don't know, it would be more interesting to me, but I'm in there to work and then I'm out. So otherwise I don't social very much either. So yeah. And now I watch a lot of TikToks, but it's entirely like cat videos and Muppets and cute animals, like cute baby animal videos. Like that is makes up my entire TikTok, which is kind of funny.
I go in for the reels. So that's about it. So
that's the neat thing too about TikTok and all of these platforms is they've all, thank goodness, linked themselves to one another. So it's really easy to share across platforms if you do have more than one. And I do appreciate that. It was not always like that. There was a time it was much, much more difficult to share the same content on Facebook and Instagram and, any other spaces you were in, and you had to sort of build them all out separately. And now they're very easily linked. And I appreciate that for folks who do have more than one platform they're working on. So, any other thoughts, questions? We've got about, I would say, we'll be finishing up. So just a few more minutes.
Yeah, we got maybe 10, 15-ish more minutes.
Everybody's
I mean, to say thank you, that it feels less overwhelming. So I just want to say that to you.
Good, absolutely. That's the goal. That's the goal. And the thing is, like Anthony mentioned it at the beginning of this, is incremental growth. And that's true. Start with one thing. And when you become an expert of that, move on to the next thing, right? Once that's working for you and you get it and you understand it, that's even as a marketing expert, that's how it worked for me. Is I started working in one space, then I built to the next one, and I understood the next one. And it's a learning process that takes time. And as you figure each one out, it'll be less overwhelming. And as each step in this, and soon enough, you'll have much more knowledge than you probably ever thought you would or wanted. There's a great commercial. It's on one of the social medias where it's the CEO. But it shows he's wearing like a million hats, and how you get to that point is because at some point you've been involved in every part, and at least in a small space. And so that's how you end up being able to do the sort of CEO role, is because it's not that you are this being who comes in knowing everything. It's that you have been in the business and you understand the intricacies and the structure of it, and understand it so well that you're able to quickly know what is going on within the business. And that comes from just a lot of learning over a long period of time. Most people don't walk into this understanding everything right off. So I certainly still don't. Things are always changing, especially in social media and digital realm, constantly changing. Drives me crazy. You have to stay on it. You really do. The nice thing though, is if anybody's doing their job right, with regard to these platforms, even Google Ads, they do try to make it as user-friendly as humanly possible. They really, really do, even though it can be confusing, because they know that if they're going to have people use their platforms, it better be. So that's the reducing friction element. Which is a great live. If you want to watch a great live that we've done, is our fuel versus friction live. It's something that we reference all the time, because sometimes as business folk, we keep adding fuel, which means we keep adding more offers, doing sales, building up the product, when we probably should be reducing the friction, which means making the user's experience, your client's experience, smoother, and making it easier on them, and figuring out what it is they need to hire you, and to do so in such a way that is so easy for them they can't help but not do it. Because a lot of times we tend to want to fix things by adding value, but the fix is a lot of times it's reducing the friction on what your client's going through. So that can be as simple as making sure it's one offering, one click, there's a direct route to you, simplifying the line to hire you and things like that. So I see Joe. Okay, so 7 minutes. And Natasha said, thank you, Brooke. So many people miss the whole engagement part of social media, she said. So that's a very important space. That if you're on social, be social. That's what it's there for. You got to respond and comment and like other people's stuff. And really that's huge. I mean, co-marketing is a hugely powerful space that you guys can use to your advantage. Hi, Amy. Hello. Do you have any questions? Anybody else? What?
Yeah. I said with the few minutes we got left, anybody got any more questions?
There we go.
Amy.
I have a question about Snapchat.
Mhm.
Are you guys marketing on Snapchat? I actually consult for marketing for real estate agents. And one of the things that we talk about a lot is where are you going to find your future clients? And so we've been really pushing and playing around with Snapchat because right now, TikTok is a fun place to watch things, but the younger people that are emerging adults are spending all their time on Snapchat. And I know because I have one, she's 17, and like she is consumed with like the number of consecutive days she snapped with one person. Like there's all these different things that are important. And so we've been kind of in our marketing playing with where our home buyers are going to be. Like in the next 10 10 15 years, these are the people who are going to be spending money on homes. So like preceding the market on Snapchat. And I feel like it could be the same for coaching, but I'm not sure how Snapchat, like how to apply that for coaching.
Snapchat is a funny space for me because I have worked in it, but I've worked in it in other spaces. You can make, I'm good money on it with a Snapchat. You really can. And actually there are people who will have two different Snapchats, like one that everybody has access to, but then you can get access to private Snapchats and then they can actually sell those accounts, which is just, it's a whole business and it's kind of crazy within Snapchat. By the way, that's awesome of your business to be planning 10 or 15 years in the future, by the way. Like that's not something you often see, that to understand that your funnel can be that long and it's smart to be seeding things. I mean, if this is a long-term business for you, think future. That's awesome. As far as utilizing it as a coach, I have I've never done it in that space. I really have not. So I don't have a hard and fast answer for you. Anthony?
We used to have Snapchat. That was mostly for talking to women and girls. Don't use it much anymore though now. It's just something I'm not familiar with in terms of like marketing and for business. Mostly because I just don't use it to follow people. I don't look at a lot of people's stories. So I'm not aware of how businesses go about marketing themselves to people on Snapchat. So that's something I'm kind of unfamiliar with. But, it's still a very big social media company. And like you said, a lot of the younger generation are still using it and coming up through that. So it might be if that's where your clients are, then go for it and try to understand how you can utilize Snapchat for marketing.
I thought, oh yeah, go ahead, Amy. Yeah.
I literally feel like a dinosaur. Like I'm 38, but I feel like I'm just like mashing buttons on my phone all the time. Like there's so much. And now like incorporating Snapchat, just because, like you said, TikTok is eclipsing Facebook and Instagram, but the younger users are still pushing through on Snapchat. So just trying to figure it all out. And I just hoping maybe you guys had some ideas on Snapchat because I'm just still digging and learning on it.
The funny thing is I've always said I have a Snapchat block for whatever reason. I literally only have a Snapchat. So like personally, so that I can have a Bitmoji. Like that's the only reason I have a Snapchat.
I thought it was for filters.
Well, it's similar. I mean, that too. But that's sort of what's interesting though, is my question to you would be, is that it might be your client in 4 or 5 years, and it's a good way to start to get in their funnel. But ultimately in 4 or 5 years, are they going to still be on Snapchat? And that might be a space that goes, okay, it might be better for me to be where they're at now before I dive into the Snapchat in 5 years from now space, but start with where you're going to get your converting leads first before you stress on the Snapchats.
Thank you so much.
All right, we got little less than 2 minutes left. Anybody else with very questions? No, Noelle?
Yeah, I just had a question. So where do you guys suggest to start? What's the best platform to really get started? And I don't know if I missed that because I had to step away.
We always get this question. And I would ask you, who is your ideal client?
I'm not sure at this point. So so I guess that's the first question I have to answer.
Absolutely, because that's where you're going to start. You're going to start with where your ideal client is. So you can't know where to start until you know who it is and where to find them. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Uh-huh. I think we can go ahead and sort of wrap up, sign off. Thank you guys out there watching. Thank you, coasters, for, somebody asked me what's the best roller coaster I've been on, which is kind of funny because that used to be my business. So I'm going to think about, no, it's not a roller coaster though. The new Star Wars Galaxy's Edge land, the rise of, what is it called?
Rise of the Resistance.
Rise of the Resistance blew my mind. My mind was blown. I'm just going to say that.
Someone sent you a Zoom question as well, if that was the question that you were asked.
What was that?
Someone sent you a Zoom question.
Cool.
Unanonymously.
More traditional options like an old school. Oh, okay. So somebody asked how we maximize more traditional options like an old school networking group or podcast. So old school networking group seems pretty straightforward. You just put your offering out there, right? You would just say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Can you tell other people? Is there anybody here? And then network that. Also in that space, co-marketing. So that's where that podcast comes in. If you know folks and you're going to be on the podcast or what have you, sometimes it's a great way to loop in and grow your following or find leads that you may not otherwise have because you're on somebody else's already existing podcast who already has a following. I really stress already has a following, already existing, already has a core group of people that are watching or listening to whatever this is, because a lot of times folks are bringing you on so that you can grow theirs, but you want to have them, ideally you're going in a space where there are people who are in your niche, in your realm, they're interested in what it is you have to talk about and it's relevant to them, and to have an offering to them in that space when you're on the podcast. Have a place to direct them, a link, something that is, I'm offering this, I'm on this podcast because I'm offering this, and I'm giving you this information of value. But it's really important to make sure that it's in a realm of where you should be. You want to be talking to people who are going to buy your services. So if I'm doing marketing and having a marketing business, I want to be talking to businesses that need marketing. And so that's where I would be making sure I'm on podcasts that have audiences made up of those folks, and then give them a direct route to get to you from there. Yeah.
And as a last note of the wrap up, there was a question asked in the chat here. Is there a link for the fuel versus friction video?
Absolutely. We can give you that link for sure. For sure. And Natasha says, Dan, you were on her podcast and you you rocked it, by the way.
It was fun. It was awesome.
Natasha's awesome. So thank you guys out there watching. If you like this video, make sure you comment, share, like, all of that good stuff. And also check out Certified Life Coach Institute. We certify life coaches in 3 days. All right, I think that's it.